CEO of Air France-KLM was announced, and the market is down 3% in its stock. The Canadian Benjamin Smith is taking the reins of the company, and in doing so, the French unions are accusing the company of giving control to a foreigner and not protecting the airline's interests. Meanwhile, in the Netherlands, the Dutch Pilots Union has threatened to strike over workload pressures. Other airlines have employed executives from overseas before. It's not new by any means. Thank you. Alan Joyce, famously from at Qantas. He's the CEO, Irish-born. He had worked elsewhere, but he has been in Australia for many, many years. So Alan Joyce, there was criticism initially, but the turnaround he's done at Qantas has certainly put paid to that. You've got the Irishman, Willie Walsh. Now, when Willie came to British Airways years ago, there was a huge furore about an Irishman running the British company. But since then, British Airways is now part of IAG. IAG is a Spanish company along with Iberia, and that's been there. Emirates President Tim Clark, Sir Tim Clark, he is British, and his predecessor before him was Maurice Flanagan, and Sir Maurice as well. So Emirates on both occasions have gone for British CEOs. And right now, the Polish expat Sebastian Miskosz is in charge of Kenya Airways. Sebastian had worked at LOT. He was fired from LOT or left LOT, and then he went to Kenya Airways. Daniel Oreska is a senior research analyst at Bernstein and joins me now. Let's talk about it. I mean, the plight facing Benjamin is going to be tough. They don't want a foreigner.
Oh, absolutely, Richard. And hi, and thanks for having me on the show. I would argue that being a foreigner or nationality and a CEO really has nothing to do with running an airline these days anymore. And I don't think the unions only have his nationality as a concern right now.
What do you think they're worried about? The fact that he's a strong negotiator? The sort of statements they've made suggest that they are worried about, I mean, this man has negotiated with the two unions at Air Canada, and he has been the president of Air Canada, so he's eminently qualified for the job.
No, absolutely. I think he ticks a lot of the boxes, and he was instrumental in implementing Air Canada Rouge back then. They're a low-cost platform. I think that's really what the unions are looking at. They're getting somebody who knows what he's talking about. He's a COO for Air Canada right now, so he really knows what the plight of the frontline employees is. He knows how to negotiate with unions. He knows how to handle a legacy and low-cost environment in the same company. I think the Air France board, Air France-KLM board, made a good choice here, and the reaction of the unions may just show how good that choice actually is.
Right, but some would say that Peter Ebers of KLM, the CEO of KLM, was the natural fit to go into the top job. He didn't get it, or whether he went for it, we don't know. He wasn't appointed, and I'm wondering whether he now has to consider his position.
Well, Peter, has been a long-standing man at KLM, came up through the ranks. I'm not sure he would have been entirely excited to take the top job. I think he likes his environment in Amsterdam very much. I would hope he stays on. The one thing that would have spoken for Peter, basically, is that he knows how the inner workings of the Air France-KLM group work.
Right.
That is definitely one thing Brian will have to figure out.
No, finally, the reality is Air France as an airline, Air France-KLM as a company, seems to run on its own rules in the sense of the way the company is structured, the way the company is financed, the way the company's unions operate. If you look at the battles of Lufthansa Group and you look at the battles of IAG, Air France is still looking somewhat like from the last century.
I couldn't agree more. And in my previous role, I was an executive within the Lufthansa Group involved in the VC negotiations and the UFO negotiations. And it's a tough road to go. If you remember, Lufthansa and also IAG 10 years before that endured a lot of strikes to come to the current labor framework, and that's still ahead of Air France, KLM, which is why the stock price is down, by the way.
And 3%. Thank you, sir. Good to see you. Have a good weekend. I appreciate you giving us time.
Thanks very much. You too. Take care.